Welcome back, my friends, to episode 4 of my Witcher 3 playthrough. It's a lovely day. The sky is blue. Bluer than a 14-year-old boy's balls. It's hot. You know, it's a hot one. It's nearly 30 degrees outside. The heat was hot, and the ground was dry, and the air was full of sound. You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name, and it felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, because there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La la, la, la 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 la, la la la, la la. Indeed. Deep. Fucking roach, look at that shit. Got stuck on a wall and then ran off. What dick. So yeah, today we're back, doing some shit. Still on the trail of Yennefer, still clearing up the map of White Orchard. There's some drowners over there, so let's go kill them. Ah, here we go. Telltale red barrel. Right in front of the drowners. Perfect. See, that's what you want to do, ideally. Hit everything. And then they'll either be dead, or for some reason that guy didn't get damaged, but they'll either be dead or very close to death, so good stuff. He dodged that one, but it doesn't matter. Wow, he just hit really hard. We're fine. I'm not sure if I've mentioned, you'll want to loot all the monsters you find as well, because you'll get alchemy ingredients from them. Which is very nice. Is that a Varied Brigade sword? Yeah. The Varied Brigade are a unit of the Scoia'tael, I believe. I don't think we've gone over who the Scoia'tael actually are. Right, the Scoia'tael are a band of non-humans, a very large band, almost an army of non-humans, that are made up mostly of elves and dwarves, and they're rebels essentially, that fight against any humans they see. Really, they live mostly in forests and areas like that, wooded areas where there's lots of cover, lots of shade, and they just fight any humans they see, really. Some are friendly, and there's various characters in the books of the games that have befriended them. Geralt is a good example, if you took that route in The Witcher 2. Also, there's a character called Milva in the books, who was a human. Her name wasn't Milva, it was something else, but the elves called her Milva, to show that she was accepted amongst them. And she would scout for the Scoia'tael, and, you know, tell them the movements of the armies and locations of merchants and that kind of thing. And she was a big character in the books. I don't know what happened to her, because that part of the story hasn't yet been translated, so but we'll find out, I'm sure. March 2016 is the next audiobook, so whoop-de-fucking-do. See, what you don't want to do when fighting ghouls is exactly what I'm doing here. You don't want to damage all of them at once. You want to focus down one target and kill them, and then go back for the rest. Because say if you're fighting 4 ghouls, you get them all down to half health, then they're all going to be healing up at once, and they're all going to be regaining lost health. What you want to do is kill one, and focus that one down until it's dead, and then swap to a different one, focus that one down till it's dead. You'll find it'll be a lot quicker than the alternative. See, what happened here is, as you can see on the map, there's a little sort of fortress icon, and when you clear all the enemies from around the area in which the fortress icon is, people are meant to come back to the area. But what I think happened there is that one of the ghouls that was meant to be there didn't spawn, or despawned when I got there. So what I had to do there was to meditate for a while and wait until the ghoul respawned so I could kill it again. And then what you'll see in a second when I kill this thing is all the people returning back to the area they lost to the ghouls. There we go. This little cutscene. Now you can, once you've seen this, if you care, you can just skip all other cutscenes in areas like this because they're the same. They're always the same. Whenever you clear an abandoned site, the cutscene is always almost identical to this one. There's never any dialogue or anything involved in them. There we go. And often there'll be merchants that appear in those areas, so it can be useful. And herbalists are very useful early on in the game because you can buy the ingredients you need to make various oils, potions, bombs, and decoctions.
What? Got anything interesting?
And herbalists will also sell a lot of recipes, as you can see there in the top right and the top. There's one on the second row as well. I think I go for anything here. Oh yeah, no, I'm buying what I need to make something. Don't remember what it was. Oh good, so yeah, I've made a swallow potion at this point, which is, I believe, 5 celandine and 1 drowner brain. So there are drowners all over the world. You're never going to get through the game without killing a drowner. You probably won't even get through the game without killing 100 drowners. So, at some point you're going to get a drowner brain, so don't worry about not finding the materials to swallow. So like I said before, it's extremely vital. There we go. We got grape shot now too. Had enough saltpeter. And grape shot is a very useful bomb for combat. There are lots of powerful monsters that are weak to grape shot for some reason. So stuff like wyverns and various other flying monsters can be weak to grape shot. So I'd recommend sticking them in one of your bomb slots, one of your pocket slots, because they are good. Excuse me. So here we have another place of power, guarded by a fuck-off bear. Bears, I've never had much of a problem with them. For whatever reason, maybe the level difference, my sword does such little damage to them. I've got the right sword out. I didn't to begin with, but actually, no, I had the right sword out to begin with, and then I swapped them because I thought this must be the wrong sword. It's doing such a tiny amount of damage, but it was actually the right sword, doing about 6 damage per hit. So I'm not sure why that is, but bears, they take a while to kill, but they are quite simple to avoid. Their attacks are very easy to read. You just want to keep behind them, really. You just want to avoid their big jaws and their claws. So you can, with the B button, you can easily dodge behind them. And that's something I haven't mentioned as well. Any use of the A button in combat will slow the regeneration of adrenaline, the yellow bar that you use for signs. So if you roll in the middle of combat, while you're in that roll, adrenaline will stop regenerating. And if you start sprinting, it uses adrenaline to power the sprint, so when the yellow bar runs out, you won't be able to sprint anymore. So yeah, this fight it's pretty much the same rules that apply as all the other fights, really. You want to keep up Quen the whole time, but what is very useful here is the Igni sign, which does about 120 damage compared to the sword swing of 9. And has the chance to set them alight. I didn't set the bear alight that whole fight, but bears are very weak to Igni, as you might expect. Fur does not tend to work well with fire. And that's another place of power. When you activate a place of power, you get a buff for 30 minutes, which increases the effectiveness of whatever sign that place of power was linked to. So that place of power was linked to Erden, and for the next half an hour of gameplay, I will have a buff that increases the effectiveness of my Erden sign. I'm not sure how, maybe it just traps enemies more efficiently or something. But there's one of them for every sign in the game, which is very handy. That buff will disappear if you meditate for longer than half an hour, essentially. So if you... well... I'm not sure how the gameplay... sorry, how the night and day cycle works in this. I think if you meditate at all, it might disappear, so even if you meditate for just an hour, I think the buff might disappear. Because obviously it lasts for 30 minutes real time, but 30 minutes real time in game is most of a day, so I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but don't meditate if you want to keep the buff up, essentially. So yeah, I'm nearly done with the points of interest in White Orchard now. There aren't many, as I said, it's just a tutorial area, just to give you a sort of flavour of what you'll be seeing for the rest of the game. And it does its job well, I think. It's a very nice little area. Yeah, that was the actual way up to this fortress that we killed those bandits a couple of episodes ago. That was the way you're meant to go, but of course, the Witcher being the Witcher, you can just brute force your way up a mountain, as I did. So there are a lot of these bandit groups around White Orchard and around Verne. A lot of them are deserters from the Temerian army, and you'll often find sort of flavor text bounties up around the world saying, if you see any deserters, kill them or hand them into local authority. Because in this game, as with lots of other fiction, and well, up until relatively recently, I suppose, in real life, deserters, the punishment even for desertion was death straight up. So don't know what I thought would happen there. But yeah, these guys, once again, very easy to dodge. That was that's been seen a few times throughout the playthrough so far. That's a finishing move, and they happen randomly throughout combat. Sometimes if you hit an enemy when they're the right amount of health, when they're really close to death already, and you hit them, then it will go into that finishing blow animation, I guess, and it will show a special, like, kill animation. Sometimes you'll stab them through the heart, I assume, like you saw there. Sometimes you'll chop their heads off. Pretty gruesome, but it makes things a bit more dynamic in terms of gameplay. Makes things a bit more interesting. There's never enough, though, in my opinion, in games. There's never enough finishing moves. There's always under 10. And to me, once you've seen them once, they kind of lose the novelty, I guess. You're always killing people in the exact same way, and it gets a bit tedious.
Just destroy it.
Now I did kill all these ghouls previously at this nest, but what you can do occasionally is even if you haven't killed the enemies around the monster nest, you can sometimes sprint in there and just like spam the A button, and you'll drop the bomb in the nest before you start combat. And why this is good is because sometimes when you're fighting the enemies surrounding the nest, another enemy will pop up from the nest, and obviously that can be a bit tedious if you're fighting a long fight and then another one of those things pops out of the nest. So dealing with the nest before the enemies is recommended if you can. Oh, and also, don't forget to loot the nest after you're done, because one of two things will happen when you blow them up. Either they'll blow up and that'll be the end of it, and you can go back after it's exploded and collect the loot, or once you've blown up the nest, a more powerful version of the enemy you are fighting surrounding the nest will pop up, and you'll have to kill that, and then you can loot the nest after that. So don't drop your guard. Essentially, once you've stuck the bomb in the nest, don't think that's the end of it, because it sometimes isn't. So here I think we're going to follow up the first contract that we've got, the first Witcher contract, called The Devil by the Well. And contracts are another sort of diversion from the main quest, like secondary quests and treasure hunts. They always involve hunting down a more powerful version of monsters you'll find throughout the world. So I'm not going to spoil what the monster we're killing in this quest is, but there are lots of big enemies that you'll see throughout the world, and these contracts always involve killing a named version of one of these big enemies.
Take care.
And they can be tough occasionally. But what you'll want to do, especially for your first playthrough, is when you come across a new enemy and you kill it, its entry will be added to the bestiary, and you can use that to read a short description. Sorry, that goose though. You can use that to read a short description of the enemy itself, as well as what it's weak to, what signs it's weak to, what bombs and oil it's weak to, which can be very helpful. A lot of the, if you're aware of sort of fantasy archetypes, a lot of it's kind of self-explanatory. For example, wraiths will be weak to spectre oil, because wraiths are spectres, and you'd assume just by the names that they'd be weak to spectre oil. Stuff like wyverns, lots of things that fly in the air are weak to draconid oil, because they're sort of dragon kin, I guess. So you'd expect that. And things like elemental creatures are weak to elemental oil. So it's, if you're familiar with fantasy archetypes, then it's, the bestiary might not be incredibly useful to you, but it's worth a read anyway, because there's a lot of nice flavor text about enemies. And there's also a character entry section as well, where you can read a little bit about the characters and their story so far in The Witcher 3.
Herbalist claims you fight a fever with drink, and not beer nor cider, but water, clear
pure vodka.
And where am I to get that if not from the well? But first, the ghost's got to be driven away. And don't let any man near.
This ghost. Describe it for me.
Well,
That might have been a hint about what we're killing.
awful.
Don't let any man near.
What does it look like?
That's something we'll discover a bit more about.
Woman, but fresh from the grave, wears a dirty dress, all rags, skin flaking.
Kind of
off
similar
the
to
bones,
the
and it howls.
Witch King in Lord of the Rings. Now I've had so many arguments with so many different people about the Witch King in Return of the King. When whoever it is says that no man can kill the Witch King, I think it's the Witch King himself who says that. When he's fighting Eowyn in Return of the King, he's like, no man can kill me, and then Eowyn takes off her helmet, and it's like, I am no man, and then like stabs him in the face. Now, right, my interpretation of that, and I am adamant this is correct, is that no man can kill him, but Eowyn's not a man, Eowyn's a woman, so she can kill him. But so many of my friends, and so many people I've had arguments with, are adamant that the Wraith, what's this called? The Witch King, sorry, meant that no human can kill him, as in man, as in humankind. But to me, personally, that argument falls apart, because Eowyn just killed him. And she's a part of humankind. So I don't know. That argument's always pissed me off because I'm so sure that I'm right. Because it just makes so much sense to me. But who knows, I guess. So look at that. Look at that shit, man. Come on. Roach just gets stuck. She just gets stuck on the dumbest little things. And then the animations when you get off Roach aren't even... They're not good, basically. They're just not good. Horses in games. They must be incredibly hard to create because not one game has done them well. Red Dead Redemption was closest.
Lost your key, man.
And since then, this game is closest to Red Dead Redemption, so... In terms of horse mechanics, so I guess this is the best we've had since Red Dead Redemption. As far as I'm aware in terms of horses. Don't even get me started on Skyrim, that shit was just... Oh, that was just so wrong.
Next I knew, there he was, coming my way.
I'm actually going to shut up for this.
Protection, see? He just asks all polite. Gran, got any birch bark by chance? Lilac berries or even a few coals? Nay, says I. You must be right daft to pester folk at night with such foolery. Just staring at me pan like a magpie at a copper. Lend it to me, Gran. I'll give it back come morn. Baffled. What's he doing? Frying in the dark. I've got a soft heart, so I gave it to him.
Beautiful. I love the proxemics, I guess, of that scene. It's like Geralt, a Witcher, a monster slayer, a fucking hard-ass motherfucker, is kind of scared of this old woman because she's clearly lost it. This is she's I don't know, man. This side quest is literally to get this old woman's frying pan back for her. And I swear to God, unless my eyes deceive me, she is standing directly next to an open window with no glass. Climb through it. Look through it. Do anything.
Never taken on a pan contract.
That's not surprising.
Fine, I'll go in, look around.
That isn't open. She is looking through it right now. As I think we'll see in a few seconds, that pan is right... She can see that pan. She can see it. Look where that window is in a second. And you'll see where the pan is. Right, there's the window.
Corpse. Explains the stench.
The pan is like right to my left now.
His throat. He was garroted. And some old scars.
Right.
Kinda
See those little, that little glowy thing over there? In the top right under the mini-map? That is the pan. She can see it. Fuck this woman.
Documents.
But,
Entirely
that
burned.
says, again, it says a lot about the side quest in Witcher 3. So, this quest, as we'll discover when we pick up the burned documents and the pan itself,
The price
does
is right.
actually say quite a lot about the
Scrubbed clean.
current conflicts
Like the mystery man didn't
in Temeria
so
and the
much
world of the
as
Witcher.
soot off it to make ink, write letters.
So what kind of man rushes into a house in the early hours of the morning and scrubs the grime and soot off a frying pan to make ink to write letters and then burns other documents? Sounds a little bit shifty. Seems like some spy work might be going on here. And that's a big thing in the books, especially. There is a lot of spying being done by the various factions and realms.
Here, your frying pan.
And one of the larger characters from the books is a man called Sigismund Dijkstra, or Dijkstra, and he is the
The soot the man needed. He scraped it off
sort of
to make
spy
ink. Must have had an urgent
leader,
letter.
spy master
Urgent
of
burns some
Redania, which is
documents too.
one of the countries in the Northern Realms,
Dead.
led by
Round up a few boys and bury them
King.
inside the village.
I know this,
Deep, so the necrophages don't dig it up
Vizimir. Right, okay,
and take
that's the
my
thing I want to
advice.
talk about.
Don't mention this to the
So we've got
Guardians.
Vizima, the city, Vesemir, the Witcher, Vizimir, the king, and there's one more, and Vichim, the town. Vesemir, no. See, look, Vesemir, Vizima, Vizimir, and Vichim. What? Please, it's confusing me, and I'm familiar with a good bloody fiction. There might even be one more as well that's similar to them. It just hurts my head. Oh, fucking wolves. But that quest, as you saw there, the reward from that quest is 5 baked apples and 5, I guess, like, mugs of apple juice or whatever. And that's helpful on this difficulty, because food is... Even though I've got Swallow, I'll still be using food. So that's always... It's always helpful. So I'd recommend doing that quest just for the bounce of it, like, it's a fun quest. Just seeing the relationship between the woman and Geralt in that cutscene was funny enough, so do it, it's a good one. And if you're interested enough, I'd recommend doing all the quests, all the side quests you can find, because they are all, like I said before, they are all really good. And deserving of a look from everyone, really. Did I not have any grave shot? Why did I throw some? Oh, fucking whatever. I hate wolves so much. Good. And there's a fucking another one, of course there is. Look at that. Look at that fucking wolf dodge. Wolves obviously been trained at Kaer Morhen. Nice, nice. What am I doing? I'm trying to put up a Quen sign before the fight. So, I don't think I've mentioned this before. When you're out of combat, your adrenaline, your yellow bar will refill much quicker than when you're in combat. So, what you'll want to do is, if you see a fight coming, you'll want to stick a Quen up before you enter the fight, so your adrenaline immediately recharges, and you've got an active Quen before the fight starts. That's one of the most important things about preparing for fights. Then here we have another Wraith, which I'm now much closer level to, as I think it says. Level 5? 4? Something. I'm closer to it than I was the last one anyway, so... This one's much easier to kill. Thank Christ. Oh, okay. Wraiths drop Emerald Dust, which is an important crafting item. Emerald Dust can be used to make... Remember the diagram we picked up for the Serpentine Silver Sword? From the Wraith Cave last episode, fucking OG Wraith God Cave. That Emerald Dust can be used to make the Serpentine Silver and Steel Swords. It takes 1 each, so if you kill those 2 wraiths, if you're lucky, you should get enough Emerald Dust to make those swords. And they're good going into the next area. You'll keep them for a while. So I'd recommend making them at whichever blacksmith around here makes swords. There's one at the Nilfgaardian garrison that we'll be going to complete the main quest. So you heard some bees there, or a beehive. You don't want to be standing near beehives because you'll be slowly damaged by them. That's the thing that it got me once. One time I was going to get some food and I was standing in a beehive and didn't notice, and I came back and I was dead. I lost about 15 minutes of progress because I hadn't saved. So, I'm dumb. I guess it serves me right for not leaving my game on pause. But be careful is what I'm saying. Because you don't want to meet the same grim fate. Ah, right. So remember what I was saying whenever I said it about that locked chest near the mill? And always finding a key for locked chests. That was the key that we just picked up for that man's body. So it'll usually be relatively close by to the chest it opens. You can see the mill up there. So I mean, even just searching around nearby, searching points of interest nearby the locked chest will often find you the key. But bear in mind there are some things. Occasionally you'll come across an area that is an area that is only entered during the main quest. So if you find something and it seems completely impossible to navigate or to open or whatever, there's a possibility that it's an area tied to the main quest. So sometimes, I think if you're experienced with games, sometimes it's you can realise where these areas are when you find them. But if this is the first kind of RPG with main and secondary quests you've played, it might throw you off. So just bear that in mind. There we go. Really wasn't much in that chest. Really wasn't much at all. Cowardly cunts for soldiers. So this is just explaining how the chest came to be there, and a little bit of backstory behind it. To hear me from Caius. Sort of skimming, I can see the word Volker. Very nice. And I believe we might be doing the main quest now? No? Yes? No? Ah, that's what we're doing. The way I like to play games is sort of efficiency first. I try my best to travel the map in a sort of circle and do things neatly, so I end up at the final place I end up is the place I need to be for a main quest, and the journey I take to get there will be completing a lot of the map, so a lot of the points of interest. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Before I started any fights, I ran straight in and blew up the nest, which is something you ought to be doing. Another place of power here.
Come on.
I think there are 3 places of power in White Orchard. This is the 3rd of them. Hey, level 2. Finally. Took a while. Now, I don't think there's actually a level cap in The Witcher 3. I've heard some people have got into the 70s, which is just mind-boggling to me. At the end of my first playthrough I got 34, just under 35, and I pretty much did everything. I didn't do quite a few of the, what are they called, points of interest in the 4th area, because like I was talking about earlier, I got kind of bored of them by the end. So I could have got some more XP from them, I'm sure. But a lot of the enemies respawn, so you can really get as high as you want in terms of level. Until whatever the cap is. I think there's an achievement for getting to level 35 as well, so I was only one off that, which is a bit annoying, but who cares really? Ah, okay, right. So this is the ability tree. Now in the middle of the screen here you can see, you just saw me put an ability into one of those slots, and how the leveling up system and ability tree system works in this game is that you can buy abilities from either the melee, magic or alchemy or miscellaneous trees. You can then slot the abilities that you've bought into that middle area and then attach a mutagen to those abilities, which increases, if you put 3 magic abilities into the 3 slots on the left and then attach a mutagen to those 3 abilities, the mutation will increase all sign intensity by like 25%, So if you want to match blue mutagens with magic abilities, red mutagens with melee abilities, and green with alchemy. And it's as simple as matching the colours and you'll get a little added bonus. So do that, that's handy. I've heard from a lot of people that the alchemy tree isn't considered very good. There's not much utility there. And a lot of people focus on either the melee or the magic tree, which makes a lot of sense to me. I, on my first playthrough, thought I was going to go almost pure melee tree, but I ended up going mostly magic. Because I found myself finding that a lot of the abilities in the melee tree were kind of bland. It was just sort of do more damage to thing abilities, whereas the magic abilities, the sign stuff, was a lot more interesting. It was like, for example, Igni, there was one that was 20% more chance to cause burning, and Quen, there was one where you could hold down the sign button, so right trigger, RT, and you could sort of cast a bubble around you for as long as you held it, which would explode after you let go of the button. So a lot more interesting than simply just like increased chance to crit or increased damage with strong or light attacks. But you know, it's really up to you. If you just want more raw damage for your swords, then melee might be the way to go. So this green gas here, this is very flammable, and if you stand in it, you get poisoned. So what I suggest is, whenever you see that, just use Igni and light it up, because it's dangerous. This was just dumb. I saw the barrel and the wolves just slowly walked away from me. So stupid. Not even slightly interested in ripping my face off as they usually are. Fucking horse didn't get quite as lucky as me then. So what I'm trying to do here is get the wolves' attention. Just get them near me so I can blow them all at once with this barrel, but they're having none of it. Luckily that fucking warg got set alight, so he was stunned in place and blown up by that. And did I kill them all with that? I think I did. Oh, one more. But that's good. Wish all fucking wolf fights were that easy. All that for a piece of coal and some leather straps. And sulphur. Great, wow, that was fantastic. Now, I'd like to see if I can work out the story behind just little places like that, little points of interest. So, there we saw a pack of wolves standing over the corpse of a horse and a broken down cart. And in the cart, in one of the chests, were 5 wolf slivers. Now, it could just be as simple as the wolves were hungry. They saw a man riding a cart with a horse and just killed the horse, but part of me wants to say that the wolves sniffed out the livers of their previous pack members or something and attacked the cart because of that. Probably completely wrong, but you know, there's just, I find it nice sometimes to just try and work out the stories behind these little places, because there often are, especially in games like Fallout 3. There's always a story behind every area that you go to. You just have to search for it a bit. That's one of my favourite things about RPGs. And here we are. Calling the episode to a close with some Nilfgaardian chat. We don't like these guys. They're twats, all of them. But alas, 'tis the end of this episode, my friends, so thanks for coming once again, and I'll see you tomorrow for episode 5.